Hello, ladies and jelly spoons. Welcome to the Game Dojo. I am your triumphant host, the Game Ninja. Put on the Ring of Power. Gotta have the Ring of Power, the precious. And welcome to 24K movies, reviews, TV shows, and gaming reviews. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the dojo. We did The Lost Boys last week, and it put me on a spiral for great vampire movies because they're very few and far between. I'm not talking about the Twilight movies. I'm talking about real vampire movies. I mean, ones where you're afraid of the vampire. I'm talking about like where when they come out, they're not looking to seduce you. They don't have golden sparkly skin. They're going to rip off your neck. Or if I could quote the movie that I watched, you want to stand there with garlic? One of these things will bend you over, take a stroll up your chada wada lada while he's sucking the blood out of your neck. James Woods, oh my God, absolutely love him. So what movie am I talking about? Then Jan Carpenter's Vampires. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Jan Carpenter's Vampires. Yes, that's what we are talking about today. What a amazing vampire movie. Next to The Lost Boys. Lost Boys is hands down my favorite vampire movie of all times. I said it. Arguably, you can go back and forth with your favorite vampire movies. It had everything. The hair, the music, the soundtrack, Kiefer Sutherland and the cool blonde mullet, Jason Patrick. It was just a movie for beautiful people, beautiful vampires, everybody in it. It was just an amazing movie. It came together. But Jan Carpenter's Vampires. Whoo! James Woods, Daniel Baldwin, Shirley Ralph. There's a Valek. How could I not forget? Okay, so this movie reinstilled the faith I needed into vampire movies because for a while there, I was just like, the vampire movie genre is gone. I mean, don't get me wrong. There was a From Dusk Till Dawn, part 1. All the rest of them kind of went into nether territory. The TV series was it didn't have Selma Hayek in it as Satanico Pandemonio, but it was okay. Jan Carpenter's Vampires. I'll never forget when I saw the first trailer for it and I went to the movies to see it, and I was blown away. I was absolutely blown away because it was straight for the throat, and it showed a vampire, because up until this time we had gotten this seducing vampire, the seducing one where he just comes in and he's romantic and everything like this. Valek wasn't romantic. Matter of fact, if you remember that Sun God Hotel scene, which I probably will reference in this video so you get a little bit of what I'm talking about. By the way, spoiler warnings. If you haven't seen this movie yet, turn away from this channel, and I don't know what planet you've been on. Jan Carpenter's Vampires, part 1. Not the sequel with Jon Bon Jovi and Eddie Winslow. Look, I'm not going to say the movie was bad, but Eddie Winslow and Jon Bon Jovi. It wasn't Jon Bon Jovi. Jon Bon Jovi did a decent job as a vampire hunter. He was no James Woods. He was no Jack Crow. But I just wasn't feeling the Los Muertos second one with Jon Bon Jovi and Eddie Winslow. Sorry, no disrespect to Eddie Winslow, but baby, you can go back to Family Matters, brah. You do not need to be in a vampire movie, Eddie Winslow. But anyway, Jan Carpenter's Vampires. I didn't know what I was in for when it first started off. When it first started off, you're treated to this house in the middle of like a desert area, and you meet James Woods and Daniel Baldwin, and then you meet a father of the church, and they're talking about a nest. And quite within minutes of this movie coming on, you're met with the first host of vampires. And these things are not pretty. The action is strong. It is visceral and it is bloody. It pulls no punches. It's not a PG-13, which it should not be. Anything with vampires should automatically be rated R. Look, the kiddies, they'll go see it even if it's rated R. And I know you don't want kiddies to see it, but kiddies will see it. Look, the rating system, it's overdrawn by now. It's overdrawn. Let me tell you something. I went to go see Showgirls, and that was NC-17, and I saw children in that movie. So come on, guys. Come on. Jesse, Saved by the Bell. That's the only real reason why I stand by Showgirls being a good movie. Not good. It was okay. It was I don't know how to feel about it. I liked it because Jessie from Saved by the Bell was in it, and you got to see her nude. Plus, it had, you know, Gina Gershon in it, nude. A lot of nudity in there. It was Jessie in a way that I've never seen her before, and a lot of people was like, "Man, it ruined her career." I don't think it ruined her career. I think it was a very gutsy, artistic movie. Having said that, it's part of my collection. I do own the unrated version. How can there be a rated version? It was NC-17 when it came out in the box office, but whatever. Anyways, where was that? Vampires. Oh yeah, vampires. So the opening scene literally steps you into this world of what you're going to go through, and you're not introduced to Valek till probably 20 or 30 minutes going into it, when they're actually celebrating. And well, let's just take a look right now. 1 second. I told you, the movie pulls no punches. It goes from 0 to 100 very fast. But as they leave this first encounter, someone comes from underneath the ground. And what I like about that is it's also a different part of the vampire lore we've never seen. Seeing them sleeping in coffins, from the Lost Boys, you see them sleeping in a cave, and they told them this cave is just one giant coffin, and they got like the bat feet. These guys, because they're dead, especially masters, they sleep under the earth in the dirt, which is awesome because they rise from the dirt like every nightfall. It's a pretty awesome thought concept to it, actually. Plus, I like the idea that they're looking for a way to walk in the sunlight, and that the first vampires were created by the Catholic Church and a horrible reverse exorcism that went horribly wrong. See, the only other vampire movie that I saw that played around with Catholic rhetoric was my boy Gerard. What's his name? Dracula 2000 with my boy Gerard Butler. Yeah, most of y'all who know who Gerard Butler is, that suave Muscatel dude with the hair slicked back, that Dracula, that's Gerard Butler. Yeah, that's Gerard Butler. That's right, that strong Scottish accent, that man that you know for your action movies, exciting movies. That's Gerard Butler in Dracula 2000. I had to go back and rewatch that. And when I was watching, I was like, I can't. That's Gerard Butler. Yeah, it's Gerard Butler. He's Dracula. Anyway, in that movie also as well, he was playing, I guess, Judas, who had betrayed Jesus. And the reason why silver hurt vampires, because he was paid in silver for betraying him. But this movie, it goes off a different set of vampire lore, and I like that. It doesn't go off the sweet, innocent vampires that are looking to seduce people, and there's some good and some bad. It goes off the fact that they're all evil. There are no good vampires, and they're looking to suck your blood, basically. And the next scene that we're treated to is something I don't think I've seen in vampires. And I've seen vampires attack like hunters and humans, but I haven't seen the level of attack. So I don't know how much I can show, but maybe I'll show just like a few seconds here and there, because there's a lot of nudity and stuff involved in it. So I don't know how much I'm allowed to show. So let's just do a little minuscule clip so you can get what I'm saying. So you can feel what I'm saying. So you can feel what I'm putting down. 1 second.
You'll go anyway. Okay. I got plans for you.
Okay, so yeah. He committed like a Mortal Kombat fatality on my boy. They don't need invites to come in to a place, and Valek definitely is amongst the apex when it comes to vampires. I have five. I have five. So we're just gonna take this time to hash it out in case you're. Hey, who's your most favorite 5 vampires of all time? We'll hash it out. Number 1. David. David from the Lost Boys. No surprise. David from the Lost Boys. Now, the second one. Bram Stoker's Dracula, man. Bram Stoker's Dracula. The Dracula. My boy, what is his... Oh, my God. What is his name? Hold on. Yeah, sorry. Gary Oldman. Gary Oldman is Dracula. Bram Stoker's Dracula. Definitely number 2. My man had the butt hairstyle in the one scenes. I couldn't rock with that, but everything else, great movie. Bram Stoker's Dracula. I should do that one on here too. Bram Stoker's Dracula. Definitely, definitely, definitely. Number 3, Valek. Definitely Valek. Valek was a beast. He was a beast. Valek is definitely my number 3. Number 4, surprisingly, the Nightmare Creatures Radu from the, was it Subspecies? Subspecies, Radu. And the 5th, surprisingly enough, is my boy from 30 Days from Night. Very strong vampire roles, very strong vampire characters, very brutal in their interpretation of vampirism. And none of them were looking to, well, I kind of like my boy from Blade too. The one who was the Reaper. I think his name was Valek too. Yeah, I think his name was Valek too. Dan Moschino's son. The one with the and the tongue comes out and yeah, I think his name was Valek. Give me 1 second to look that up. 1 second. Okay, it wasn't Valek. It was Jared Nomak. His name was Nomak from the Blade series. He would have got top billing in here, except for the fact is he was only strong and menacing against just regular people. Like when it came to Blade and anybody else, like they dwarfed him. Like they dwarfed his power, and I didn't really like that much. Valek is a really cool vampire that they didn't dwarf his power. Nomak was they nerfed his power too much. Like in one scene they show how powerful he is. He slams somebody into the wall, they splatter the wall and break the bricks, and then in the next one he just hits somebody and he falls on the ground. Like he's either all powerful or he's not. And can we just talk on Blade 2? We're gonna do a Blade 2 video, but can we just talk on Blade 2 1 second about Lord Eli Damn Mosquitoes? Lord Eli Damn Mosquitoes. I know they say Dan Mosquitos, but Lord Eli Damn Mosquitoes. Damn Mosquitoes. Y'all happened. That happened. Y'all, that happened. They let it happen. We all saw it happen. I don't know if y'all caught that. I caught it. I'm not past it. Lord Eli Damn Mosquitoes. Blade. Come on. Of all the vampire names you could have given the Lord of Vampires. Damn Mosquitoes. Damn those mosquitoes. Lord Eli Damn Mosquitoes. Excuse me, how you pronounce it? Dan Mosquitos. Lord Eli Dan Mosquitos. Damn Mosquitoes. His name was Damn Mosquitoes. And you know what? I don't like mosquitoes either way, and I feel you, and they're bloodsuckers. Damn mosquitoes, bloodsuckers, mosquito bloodsuckers, vampire bloodsuckers. Don't tell me that nobody thought of that when y'all were writing this. Damn mosquitoes, damn mosquitoes. Really? Come on. Anyway, back to vampires. After the hotel, his whole team is wiped out, and he goes back to the church to rebuild his team, but he starts to question because nobody knew where his team was. Nobody knew how to get to his team, and he called him by name, which means somehow somebody sold him out. So he's trying to figure out who sold out his team, got his entire team killed, and set him up to die. No surprise, he gets a new father assigned to him because the old father was killed in this hotel, and he's supposed to recruit a new team and go when he's at full strength, which he does not do. He decides to take his friend, Daniel Baldwin, Shirley Ralph, the only female that was bitten, because she has a psychic link with the master until she changes. So it's like a two-way monitor. She sees what he sees, but he also sees what she sees. Two-way. But they can use her to find him, which they do. Upon him taking on this new young father on his team, he has to test him and test his loyalties, where it lies, and whether or not he's going to betray him, because he's a new member of the team. He didn't have a choice on taking him. They forced him upon them. So they get into a fight and hash it right out there in the truck. And he ends up, cutting him, trying to ask him, was it him who set us up? It was a very strong, amazing scene. I'm going to give you the aftermath of that scene because it has one of the best lines in a vampire movie I've ever heard, besides From Dusk Till Dawn. Dusk Till Dawn probably gets the #1 line I've ever heard in a vampire movie, which is at the very end of the movie. They come out of the Twister bar. I'm not going to say the full name. They come out the bar, and they see Cheech Marin for the 3rd time, because he's played 3 different characters in the movie. And he just says, why, of all the places, and I'm paraphrasing because I'm not going to use the language he says, why of all the places in Mexico do we have to meet here? And he's like, well, it's a rowdy place. One place is as good as the next. And he was like, well, since you just chose this place out of a hat, my brother is dead. This girl's whole freaking family is dead. What were they, like psychos or something? Is that what they look like? Psychos? Psychos do not explode when sunlight hits them. I don't give a how crazy they are. The best vampire line in any movie I saw. The Lost Boys is the best vampire movie, but that line From Dusk Till Dawn, it is just golden. It's absolutely golden. Psychos do not explode when sunlight hits them. I don't give a how crazy they are. Great line. Perfect line. Absolutely. I'm all about realistic reactions and realistic actions in movies. That line goes up there with The Thing. When when the head comes off the table and the thing grows spider legs and it walks out the room and they all turn around, including the Thing, and he says, you gotta be kidding me. Once again, there is no other set of words in the English language or any other language that expresses that sentiment in that scene. That's #1. #2 is definitely From Dusk Till Dawn. Psychos do not explode when sunlight hits them. I don't give a how crazy they are. Perfect line. This one, my #3, and you're about to see why. Right second. 1 second. All right, here we go. Here comes the line.
Where are we going? You have to tell me what's going on, Mr. Crow. Have you ever seen a vampire? No. Well, first of all, they're not romantic, all right? It's not like they're a bunch of fucking fags hopping around in rented formal wear and seducing everybody in sight with cheesy Eurotrash accents, all right? Forget whatever you've seen in the movies. They don't turn into bats. Crosses don't work. Garlic? You want to try garlic? You stand there with garlic around your neck. One of these buggers will bend you fucking over and take a walk up your strata chocolata while he's sucking the blood out of your neck, all right? They don't sleep in coffins lined in taffeta. You want to kill one, you drive a wooden stake right through his fucking heart. Sunlight turns them into crispy critters.
Absolute perfect articulation of vampires. Absolute perfect articulation of what they should be, why you should fear them, and what should be considered lore and what should be considered fake. Absolutely, 100%. John Carpenter's Vampire articulates that in ways no other vampire movie I've ever heard in my entire life or watched articulates that. And that scene is why, 100%. So as he figures out that there's more going on than what he says, because after torturing said priest strumpet, and I have to get a little Jack Sparrow on that, said strumpet, beastie, he figures out that his name is Valek, the vampire hunting him, and that he's the first original source of vampires created by the Catholic Church, and the Catholic Church knows about them, and that they may be responsible for selling Crow out to this team, because in order for him to walk in the daylight, he needs this cross, this black cross, the Berzier cross, and the blood of a hunter, Jack Crow. So his blood is needed in order for the ceremony for Valek to walk in the daylight. So basically, everything is coming together at the center point of this movie. You start seeing the plot lines pull together. Why Valek is after him, why Valek is after Church from Church looking for the cross, why the new father is with him, Jack Crow, in this car, and what's going on with his team. Now, Daniel Baldwin, all this time, while he's figuring this out, is taking care of the woman of ill repute from the hotel who was bitten by Valek. And his job is to, care for her, but he starts to care a little too much, where he zigs and zags, and there's many as twixt between a cup and a lip, and he ends up being bitten by her. So, unfortunately, his best friend, Jack's best friend, James Wood's best friend, is bitten. So he literally has days. So as Shirley Ralph, the woman of ill repute, is nearing the end of her transformation, now Baldwin is starting his. But he's still protecting Crow and his team. As we get to the center point where they chase down Valek, it was a trap for Valek to get James Woods here. Now, the father that's in the car with him did not know the plan, so he was basically bait too as well. But by now, he's already been initiated in, and he's a full-fledged member of the team. So James Woods trusts him, and he trusts James Wood because he had never seen a vampire, he had never hunted a vampire, he had never been part of anything, and he had to decide whether or not he wanted to be a hunter or whether or not he wanted to be a priest, and he wanted to be a hunter. The culmination and climax of this movie is probably one of the better climaxes that I've ever seen in a movie. The movie has some expository, but not a lot. The movie is action-packed from point A to B and C, including Valek connecting with other masters and bringing masters with him so that he can have the ceremony done. During the ceremony, we're treated to Baldwin being finished off. Unfortunately, Shirley Ralph, she changes and transforms, and there is no good vampire in here. It's not like, well, this vampire is my friend, he protects me. No. Once you fully change, you are a creature of the night. So she ends up ripping out his throat, but he was already too far into the change, so he didn't bleed to death. He's becoming a vampire, Daniel Baldwin. So after the main culmination of the ceremony, the main father, the cardinal of the church, comes down here because you need him to perform the ceremony. I know, stabbed in the back by the Catholic Church in this movie. What a surprise. Kind of saw it coming from the moment James Woods first started talking to the guy, the way the guy was with him. You could see he was withholding something, and you could see he was involved in some sort of way. Your spider sense should have been going off. If it wasn't, now you know why it was. So the ceremony doesn't go as planned, and James Woods ends up capitalizing and killing Valek with the cross and stopping the ceremony. He also takes the new bloodborne father and mops up the rest of the town, killing the rest of the masters and the rest of the vampires. At the end of the culmination of that epic scene, and it's an epic scene. I wish I could show you the entire scene in its entirety, but I could not do that. And it's something deservingly you need to see for yourself. You definitely owe it to yourself. If you like the vampire genre, you need to see John Carpenter's Vampires for yourself. You need to experience. John Carpenter has a way of stepping you into a universe with his music, his sound, the cinematography. Like, there's a whole experience. If you've watched Big Trouble in Little China, Prince of Darkness, Halloween, there's a bunch of different movies John Carpenter does where he has a way with moments, he has a way with setting up things, and atmosphere. He has a way with atmosphere that very few other directors and producers have that ability. So his music and his atmosphere does a lot for his movies. So we're treated to Daniel Baldwin getting in a truck, and the last vampire is Shirley Ralph. And she's in the back of the truck, and he's protecting her because he loves her. And now the father is full-fledged vampire hunter. He wants to take out Daniel Baldwin's girl. Like, they want to end that. I mean, there's more vampires all across the world, but they want this particular nest to end right here, right now. And James Woods steps in between him, and he has a moment where him and his team member are together, and they're back to back. And he basically tells him, I know what you're feeling. We're not letting them go. Just back off. So he basically takes it upon himself to say, when did she bite you? He's 100%. And I like that because there's no pretending that it's going to be okay. There's no pretending that he's not going to do what needs to be done. He is going to take out his team member. It's just a matter of when. So he asked Daniel Baldwin, when did she bite you? And he said, 2 days ago. He said, but I still protected you for those 2 days. He said, so what do you think, Padre? He said, you got 2 days. So they owe him the 2 days for him protecting them when he was bitten. So they kind of hug it out, but then he whispers in his ear, wherever you go, I will track you down and I will kill you and the girl too. So it's a bittersweet goodbye because it is one of his best friends and long team members, but he's letting him know that the next time I see you, I'm going to put you down. You and your girl. And it's one of those Pyrrhic victory moments that I talked about before, because sometimes a victory can be won at too great of a cost. And this victory was won at the expense of his entire team and everybody there. So what ends up happening is him and the father have to finish wiping out the rest of the town, but Daniel Baldwin has bought 2 days for himself, which I expected the sequel to be a continuation of James Woods and his father going after Daniel Baldwin and taking on more vampires, but they went out in Westville somewhere with John Bon Jovi and Eddie Winslow. And look, I'm not saying the sequel was a bad movie. I mean, it's something to watch. It's something to watch. I definitely like John Bon Jovi. I love his music. It was the first time I was treated to him acting in a movie. He did okay. He definitely did okay. The vampire antithesis, how can I say this? The vampire antagonist in that movie, she was very good at her job. She was no Valek. It was she was still vicious, but it was more of a tender, toned down type. It definitely didn't have the same level of intensity as the first John Carpenter vampire movie. And I don't know if that was because of the production team, the people involved. I think it was a mistake not having the original team, including the actors, involved in the sequel. And that's what happens with too many movies. You don't have the full production team on. And that's why the sequels normally tank, because you don't have the same magic scored together as you did on the initial endeavor. And I will say, as this movie ended, I was absolutely floored by how much I loved it. But on the same token, I'm a fan of John Carpenter and I know his work, and I pretty much knew what I was in for. Like I said, Big Trouble in Little China, Halloween, Prince of Darkness. John Carpenter's done so many movies that I have in my collection. All I had to hear was John Carpenter's and I was in on it. I'm definitely in for the go. Whether or not his later works are the same, that remains to be seen. Some of his later works were different, I guess, because of the collaborations he did with different people. But this movie, it landed it. This is definitely one of my top 5 vampire picks of all times. This is definitely one of my favorite. And like I said, I can quote it word for word. One of my biggest things is if I'm watching a movie and I'm on my cell phone, it's because the movie is not holding my attention. If I can put my cell phone down, it's because the movie has something in it that I am attracted to, and that it's keeping me indulged into the content. And that is great storytelling. That is great movie making. That is a great concept. So in that the older directors, the older producers, the older production teams and companies, they are masters at this. It's something that the new genre has not gotten yet. They failed to capture this in the new versions of these movies and these new concepts that they're coming out with. They forgot the environment, the atmosphere. They forgot all of it counts. Every single last little bit of a production counts. It's not just the actors who carry the film. You got to have the atmosphere, the cinematography, the backgrounds, the music. You got to have the emotionality. You got to believe the characters. You got to care about the characters, because if you just kill them off and you don't care about them, they mean nothing. And that's what these new movies they fail to realize. You need to care about the characters in order to know where their journey goes. That way, when they lose somebody, you feel like you lose somebody. This is something that a lot of later productions have forgotten. And this is the reason why a lot of older movies are gems, because they encompass everything. They don't just make a movie in 28 days and just put it out there to film, and then it is what it is, and they're like, whatever, we get some money, we don't get some money, we're just making movies because people want to watch movies. No, I miss the older movies, because the older movies paid attention to these concepts. They were not foreign. Actors did act. People did act. You believe the characters, you believe the emotions and realism. If you can step a little bit of realism into your movie, even if it's the craziest movie in the world, you will have a lot more respect from a lot of people who are moviegoers, because when it's so unrealistic and it's so out there and far, it takes you away from the concept of the movie, and it takes you out of the enjoyment. Remember, the project is escapism. You want to escape from the world and your problems and your surroundings by jumping into a movie. And then the movie is supposed to give you and provide you that escapism for however long the movie takes, whether it's an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. Some movies 4 hours, yes, like Lord of the Rings, yes. Some movies are 4 hours in their concept, and if done correctly, Snyder's Justice League cut, if some movies done correctly, they can hold you and entertain you for that entire time. But that is the level of storytelling that I'm talking about. You have to be a capable storyteller. You have to be great with your words, your descriptions. You have to value not just the product that you're selling, but the people you're selling it to. And that connection makes a great movie. And movies like that are rarely ever forgotten. They always have them back there on the shelf or in the DVD rack or in a drawer somewhere, because every once in a while people will pull those movies out. I like that movie, and they will watch it. It's called a rewatchable factor. And the rewatchable factor will be insurmountable over years. You can watch that one movie 1,000 times and never get tired of it. You can quote every word from that movie because it's one of your favorite movies. You can monologue from it. These are the movies that people like to see. These are the movies that people enjoy. And unfortunately, in the latter years, we're getting far too many of these movies that are just absolute crap. There's nothing you can requote. There's nothing you want to requote. You can't remember them. You don't want to remember them. You don't want to keep them. You don't want to buy them on DVDs. You just don't want to remember them in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. They're gone out your head. And there's too many of them. And you're just like, I don't understand the purpose of making this. But it goes back to that Seinfeld concept that I told you about when they pitched their TV show. The show is about nothing. So what do you mean? The show is about nothing. Well, maybe something happened. No, nothing happens. The show is about nothing. If you got up and went to work, that's a show. Wait a minute. Who wants to watch a show about nothing? Everybody. Well, why am I watching it? Because it's on TV. This is the concept that they're running with. Because it's in the movies, because it's on stream, because it's on TV, you'll watch it, even if it's crap. And the disdain we have for the movie and the cinematography nowadays needs to change. You need to show these people that you support better movies with your dollars. If it's crap, don't support it. If you speak with your wallet, it speaks volumes to the people making these movies, because they're just like, well, people will just go see it anyway, just because so-and-so is in it, just because we put this one, or just because it's part 7 or part 9 or a prequel or a reimagining, which I can say over the last 10 to 20 years, I am sick of the sequelitis. Sequel after sequel, prequel and reimagining. Be original. There are still great original ideas out there and original concepts. You can speak and read and learn in a better environment than just replaying and rehashing the same storyline over and over again until you can puke coat hangers. This is the this is the frustrations I have with modern day cinema, is that everything you've seen before 1,000 times, and it's been done better. So it's not like even they learned from the previous endeavors and they recreate it in a better way. It's a crappier way. Like Jurassic Park. Jurassic Park was made like 92, 93, 90, somewhere around that time. Its CG is still better than most movies with a $150 million budget made today in 2024. Its CG was more believable, and because the VFX people took their time, because everybody took their time and cared about the product that they were shipping. If this is the problem, nobody cares about the product that's being shipped to the shelves. It's the same thing with gaming. It's the same thing with music. It's the same thing with television. With a game, they'll be like, oh, well, we'll patch it. Put the game out. We'll patch it 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, maybe a month, 2 months. We'll patch it and fix it. You're rushing a unfinished product to the market. You're doing the same thing with movies. And that's the reason why a lot of these movies frustrate me, because they seem great. They give you a sizzle reel and a trailer, and you're like, hey, that looks really good. I'd like to watch that. But everything you wanted to watch about that movie, they showed you in the trailer. It was a bait and switch, because now you watch the movie and you're just like, this isn't at all what I thought it was going to be. And I've been duped so many times to the point where I'm just numb. So when I see a movie advertised nowadays, nothing inspires me. I check it out every once in a while if I want to see it, or when it comes on stream, or a few people that I trust their opinions, I'll ask about it if they saw it. But most of the time it just floats on by, just like crap in a toilet. It just flushes down and goes. But John Carpenter's Vampires is not one of them. This is one of those movies, like I said, they took their time. There was effort paid. The character growth and development is shown throughout the entire movie. And this is the reason why John Carpenter's Vampires gets a platinum rating here in the Game Dojo. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, 24K Movies and Reviews, we give this a platinum rating because this is a vampire movie and it's done right. There are few and far vampire movies made nowadays, but when they're made, sparkling skin, the sunlight makes them gold and sparkle in daylight. They're pretty boys and pretty girls. That's not what a vampire is. They are creatures. They're monsters. Something to be feared, something to be killed. They're against the norm. They're against God. Like, this is the reason why that rational fear was instilled in these movies, to show you that you do fear them. You don't make them your friends. You don't marry them. You don't go around and fall in love. Like, where did that even come from? Even Dracula, who had the sex appeal, even the Gary Oldman one and Bram Stoker's Dracula, he had to go. He had to go, man. Mina had to cut his head off. Like, there was no it was a love story, but it was a love story that ended in tragedy. Tragic. Somebody had to go. There wasn't no happy ever after. There wasn't no sparkling people holding hands in the sunshine. That's not a vampire movie. I'm sorry. Definitely not a vampire movie. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, I want you guys to sit back, relax with your favorite bag of snacks, and enjoy John Carpenter's Vampire. This is one of the Storm King productions. This is one of the movies that you will not waste your time on. It is something I highly recommend. If you do not own it, get it on DVD, Blu-ray, 4K. You can stream it. You can download it. Get the torrent of it. It doesn't matter. You owe it to yourself, if you are a fan of great movies, especially vampire movies, to check this one out. It's strong in the tooth, but that's what I appreciate about it. It pulls no punches. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, ladies and jelly spoons, this is another great film from the vampire genre. And this one stands in my top 5. Like I said, this stands among Lost Boys too. There are very few movies that from a vampire genre that I can stomach, that I can actually sit there and watch, that take me in and step me into their world. Bram Stoker's, like I said, was another one. The Lost Boys, Subspecies, maybe Near Dark with Bill Paxton would be like my closest 6 coming into that closest 6. Like I said, even Dracula 2000 with Gerard Butler, I'm not going to say it was my favorite endeavor by any means, but it was watchable. It was watchable just for the fact to go back to seeing Gerard Butler before he was a gigantic movie star with the slick back hair being Dracula. That in itself is a reason to watch it, is because Gerard Butler has graduated to so many more roles. To see him as Dracula it's funny. It's funny. Absolute funny. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me here in the Game Dojo with 24K Movies and Reviews. This has been another great movie that we just recently watched and absolutely loved. So I definitely highly recommend this on my movie rewatch list. You definitely need to see it if you haven't seen it. And thank you guys so much. You have literally blown up my little channel with all your support. I thank all of you guys. I am nothing without you. But thank you guys for stopping on by, and I'll see you in another movie, in another review, on another day, God willing. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's been 24K Movies, games, reviews, and TV shows. I am your host, the Game Ninja, deep from within the heart of Gamer Nation, saying I will see you next time. Keep watching, keep enjoying, break out some popcorn and watch a movie. And if you want to watch something this week, look into John Carpenter's Vampires. You could do a lot worse when it comes to the movie genre. Trust me. I'll see you later.